Hey guys! So I've got a lot of questions on my Instagram, from my family, from my friends on my photography. Now I've been doing photography since I was in middle school. I've taken photography classes in high school, and I've always just loved photography and fascinated with cameras and cinematography and all sorts of cameras and everything. So I thought I would answer some of your questions because, as you guys know, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I do take a lot of pictures, mostly of my daughter Mackenzie. So it's mostly portrait pictures, but I do take pictures of like food and like, landscape and miscellaneous and stuff like that. So I figured that I would answer some of those questions to help you guys take good professional quality pictures, because I know having professional quality pictures is really expensive, and a lot of people think that I use some crazy expensive camera, which I don't, because I actually don't even own one. Nor do I really want to own one, because I would be scared to use it because it's a lot of money. But I figured that I would share my tips on what I do to take good quality pictures. So the first thing is, you can use any type of camera, meaning from the little film cameras that you literally just open from a package and there's like 25 pictures or 50 pictures, to like a Nikon SLR crazy camera, right? You guys can use any of those ranges of cameras. You guys can also use like iPhone cameras and stuff like that. It's not about the camera you use, it's actually about how you take the picture. So you guys can take pictures with a Nikon Coolpix, which is what I'm using now, just a normal snapshot camera, which is like a Canon or a Kodak or whatever you guys have. You guys can use that. You guys can also use an iPhone camera, which is the majority of what I use for Mackenzie's pictures, or anything that I use, because it just goes on to my Instagram instantly. You guys can also use vintage cameras, which I have four. I also have a Polaroid. Now, with the Polaroid camera, those are instant pictures, so you can't edit the picture. They're good for once you kind of master it on how to take good quality pictures without editing them. Now, it took me about 2 years, or I waited 2 years to buy a Polaroid, because the film is really expensive and I didn't want to go crazy buying Polaroid films and wasting it on nothing, because they get really expensive. So I finally got some. I took some amazing shots of Mackenzie, so I'm really going to start using them just on special occasions. So then I have, this is one of my 4 vintage cameras. So this is a Kodak Instamatic reflex film camera, and now this is something that you have to develop, but it's really fun taking pictures with a vintage camera. For those of you guys who agree with me, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. So I kind of want to start my own collection of vintage cameras, but this is kind of really exciting because there's not a lot of features like versus a expensive camera, but it's really exciting because you guys get to wait and see how your pictures turn out, like once you develop them. So I have this one. I also have an older one from like the 1940s or something, which also takes film, but I don't like to use that one as much just because it's really old. I like to use this one more since it's a lot newer. Then, of course, you guys can use like an iPad camera, an iMac camera, anything like that. And, of course, you guys can use like a Nikon SLR, DSLR camera, which is this one right here. I'm actually going to be selling this one to get like a Canon or a Nikon. There's nothing wrong with this camera. I just prefer Canons, mostly with the lens. Somebody's borrowing my lens right now, so I don't have it, but it just looks like that, and you put the lens in there. But I really like the Nikons and the Canons. Just really depends on what your preference is, and of course your price range, because Nikons tend to be a little bit more expensive than Canons, I think, in my opinion, but they all work the same, so you guys can use that as well. So that's the first thing. So don't worry about the camera. You don't have to go and spend crazy money on a camera, because I certainly haven't throughout the years. Okay, so I have my list on my phone here. Okay, so the second tip I'm going to tell you guys is to turn off the flash. I think I've never used the flash when taking a picture. Of course, if I'm indoors, if it's dark, if it's at a concert, if it's like during Christmas time or something like that, and it's really dark, not a lot of light, of course, use the flash. But when it's like this, out in the daytime where there is light coming in, Don't use the flash. Like, I know you want good quality light in the picture, but you can always go and edit the picture with the light in it or off, or take the light off or put synthetic light into it, because what the flash does, it wipes everything out and makes it look flat, and it just makes everything look not natural. So try taking a picture with the flash on and with the flash off, and you can see the difference. And once, the natural picture might not look 100%, but once you go to edit it, it'll look really nice. 3 is have some light. So like I said, light is pretty essential. For me, I'm not like a huge light person where I need to have synthetic lights everywhere and have huge light things everywhere. As you guys can tell, I use natural light all the time. I use it for filming, I use it for photos, of course when I'm outside, when I'm inside. So always have some sort of light. Have, you know, if you're taking a picture of a plant, of a baby, of a person, of food, always have some sort of light, because it'll make everything look a whole lot better. Now with Mackenzie is, I like to make sure there's always light, but when there's something that, when there's maybe somewhere like in her crib where there isn't a lot of light, I do go ahead and edit and put in synthetic light on the computer or Instagram or whatever. Number 4 is, don't be afraid to take close-ups. Now this was my thing for the longest time, was I was really afraid to take close-ups. I don't think it was necessarily because of the blemishes, it was just because having a camera that close in your face, you don't know how good of a quality it's going to be once you take the picture. But I've tried it with Mackenzie, and the pictures turned out 100% better, meaning that when you go to crop the picture, or when you go to edit the picture, when you crop the picture and zoom it up or zoom it in, it won't be as pixelated, it won't be as blurry, and it will look a whole lot clearer with zoomed in, versus if you zoom in with a camera. Of course, if you have a Nikon camera like this one and you have like 100mm and up camera, then zooming in from far away will probably make a good quality picture because of the lens. But if you're using like a snapshot, an iPhone, like a regular vintage camera or anything like that, you would probably want to take it zoomed in as close as possible, and those pictures are the best. Sometimes you don't even need to edit anything because it's perfect. Okay, so then number 5, which is my last tip, number 5 is take a bajillion photos all at once, because out of those bajillion photos, you guys are gonna get maybe 2, maybe 5, maybe 10 really good photos. Now this is the type of thing that I do with Mackenzie all the time. A lot of people ask me, how did I get her to do that? How did I you know, get that face on her? It really was all up to her. Mackenzie is already 8 months. She doesn't understand smile or look away. So I just keep taking the picture, whether it be on my Nikon Copex, on my iPhone, or on vintage camera. On Polaroid, I try not to do it again because it does waste each slide. But on my iPhone, I just go crazy. So I, you know, I just take a bunch of pictures on that. So yeah, so just try those tips and see if they help, if they improve your photography. Great if they do. I'm sorry if they didn't, but they really helped me. It kind of gave me more a peace of mind of how a picture, like, it's not supposed to be perfect. You are the one that makes it perfect. Like, the camera isn't going to do anything. Like, the camera just captures the photo. So it's kind of how you use the camera and what you do with your editing software on how you make the good picture. Now I know a lot of people have a lot of controversy about editing pictures because it makes it look fake or, you know, not synthetic. But personally, I think it makes it a whole lot better. Of course, there are wonderful, naturally beautiful pictures that are not edited, which are like nature pictures or anything like that. But you can make really good different pictures, like black and white, like Sephora kind of changing like the tint of the picture. I'm trying to think of all the right words, and kind of like the contrast of the picture. So it just really depends on what type of your photography is, because I know a lot of photographers who just like black and white, and they only take black and white. They only like pictures in black and white. They prefer pictures in black and white. So it just really depends. I'm more of a mixture, so like I said, it depends on what you like and what you don't like, and you guys can like mess around with it. So leave a comment if you guys have any questions or if this works for you. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.